Okay, we're just getting started here. I don't know about you, but I have my coffee. Okay. Let's go live on TikTok here. Let's use that. We have chat and interview. Let's go. Okay, we should be live streaming. We are live streaming on several different platforms. Today, we're streaming on TikTok Live, and we are streaming on YouTube. We're also streaming on X, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Longs, and what are we talking about and who am I? So, name is Solutions Joe. You can call me Solutions Joe, and we are going to be diving into a lot of Q&A around jobs. So it's educational information, career advice, AI, chat and talk. These are the topics and the areas that we will be touching upon today. Again, I will give you a little background in terms of who I am as soon as we get going here, and we have a few people join. I can see most of all the chat I can see coming in from all the various platforms. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them into chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. It is meant to be a Q&A session, so interactive is great. Again, if you've got questions, comments, drop them in. So, quick little background on me. I am a solutions architect, been a solutions architect for nearly 30 years in the enterprise software space. And I will give you a little bit more background to me in just a moment. I just want to make sure everything is streaming. It looks like we are streaming all the way around. As a technologist, I am also a big coffee drinker. I think this is one of the most common things that most people in the tech world have in common. We love our coffee. Not sure why that is, but we do. Questions and comments here. So I see that we have Gray Arrow, slipped in, slipped out. Welcome, Gray Arrow. Okay, just want to make sure I've got okay, moving right along. Okay, so let's again hit who I am and why I'm here. So my name is Joe. I am a solutions architect in the software enterprise space. I've been doing it for nearly 30 years. I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to work in Silicon Valley. Did that for quite a few years. I've worked with clients everywhere, everything from federal government to local and state governments to Fortune 250, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies, and everything you can imagine in between, across industry spectrums, finance, utilities, insurance, lots of insurance, and a whole host of other mix and match of various industries across the spectrum. So if you've got questions, comments, drop them in, and will be very happy to try to answer them. If you've been paying attention to what's going on in the world, and I'm not really talking about politics, this is not a political channel, this is mainly geared to business, education, career advice, technology, specifically around AI, and how it's going to impact your job, how it's going to impact my job, what I'm doing to prepare for it, these types of things. So that's what we're going to be talking about, and that's what we're going to dive into. And like I said, I'm happy to take your questions and comments and try to give you some guidance based on my 30 years of experience and based upon what I have been doing for the last really 2.5 years as I see AI coming down the train tracks, heading directly for all of us. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in there, and we can explore any of your concerns, or I can give you some insights based upon my experience. We are streaming on multiple platforms. We're just getting going. So we're streaming on YouTube, long and shorts. We're streaming on X, and we are streaming on TikTok. So please feel free to drop your questions and comments in, and we will try to get them answered and give us hopefully a good conversation. So one of the more interesting things, I got a few stories to tell you, at least from my own personal experience over the last week or so. The first one is, if you've been paying attention, the announcements of some economic numbers were made. That was made late this week, announcing 108,000 layoffs that were announced in January. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that 108,000 people were laid off in January? No. It's basically an aggregate of the various reporting coming from companies because of their earnings reports that they were doing and indicating, what their plans were for the future. So they've basically announced in January the intent to lay off 108,000 people across a variety of industries. Now, here's the more interesting part of that whole snippet that came out in terms of the information, and that is, if you read between the lines, well, actually, not even if you read between the lines, if you listen to these calls by these large companies, they are blaming specifically AI, and they're not so much blaming AI as simply indicating to their shareholders that they are going to become a more productive company by spending less money on employee salaries and automating the various jobs through AI functionality or AI features and functions that are out there. So that's was definitely one of the things that was quite surprising, where now you've got companies who are no longer shy about giving credit to AI for the reason that they're actually laying people off. They are not shy about admitting it, not shy about making the layoffs. So that's that's a very interesting aspect to, or I should say, a very interesting change to the perspective of large corporate America. Right? They're now got no fear about saying we're laying off, thousands of people, and we're doing it because we have found an advantage with AI. So if you want to talk in more detail about what those advantages look like, let me know. Drop your questions, comments in the chat, and I'm happy to try to give you some insight on those aspects of how customers or how large companies are automating some systems behind the scenes. My own personal experience with using AI, I've been using it significantly for really the last 2.5 years. Again, I am in the technology space. I've been here for nearly 30 years. I've managed to weather a lot of storms. And that's the interesting part, is that when it comes to, why should you have any interest in terms of listening to me, the bottom line is this: I've been in the space for nearly 30 years. I have weathered the storms. What storms are those? Well, back in my day, and I'm a little bit older than I look, I weathered the Y2K, okay? That was going to bring the technology world to its knees, but at the same time, it was also causing a shortage in technology workers. And then we had the outsourcing that started to occur. We had the dot-com boom, and then we had the dot-com bust, and then we had the significant outsourcing, and then we had the financial crisis here in the United States, and then we are now into the AI era. Okay, and so all these things are playing a really significant effect on what's going on. So I see employees are also, and what I will do, by the way, just for anybody who's joining us a little bit later, we are streaming on multiple platforms, YouTube, X, and TikTok. So when I see comments come in or questions come in on different platforms, I will go ahead and read those out so everybody can hear what the question or comment is, and then I will address it, okay? Just to try to keep everybody in the loop here. So we've got Catherine, welcome. Employees are also the market. Don't destroy your market. That is true. That is absolutely true. You have any questions or comments, Catherine, that you would like to drop in? And welcome to the Green Hornet. And I'm a big coffee drinker, so excuse me as I enjoy my coffee. I'm just going to check real quick on the streaming on YouTube. Make sure everything's live over there. Okay, looks like we are live across all the platforms. So Catherine says, I use AI for structure. How do we keep our economy growing rationally? Well, so that's a kind of an existential question. Happy to give you my insights on it. Okay. So again, as somebody who's been in the tech space for over 30 years or nearly 30 years, and also somebody who's been using AI significantly within my job for the last 2.5 years, really, and I use it not only within my day-to-day job, but I also use it on the side, not just as a hobby, but doing other types of work on the side as well, because that's just kind of the kind of person I am. A lot of technical people were geeks at work. We're also geeks outside of work, and that's kind of frames who I am. So the interesting thing about the aspect of AI and its impact is going to be a real concern for me moving forward as related to jobs. Because unlike some of the other things I mentioned as far as the other storms that I've kind of weathered through, this is quite different. And why is it different? Well, because what we're looking at here is a destruction, if you will, or a replacement of white collar jobs. Right now, that's not to be, I just want to be clear. I'm not suggesting in any way that blue collar jobs are anything, lesser in any way to white collar jobs. It's just the terminology that's been used for many years to really classify the type of job, whether it is kind of a keyboard job, an office job, a cubicle job, versus somebody who's an electrician or a plumber or something of that nature. And I have mad respect for anybody who is in one of those fields. I actually find it pretty interesting and fascinating. As a little side note, I've got a building going up next to where I live. I live in high rise in Chicago, Illinois, of the United States, and I love watching them actually work. I'm not sure if I could actually do the work itself, but it's pretty amazing how they actually build things and the order in which things get built in a building from the ground up. It's kind of exciting. So my real concern is what's going to happen to these keyboard jobs, because the easiest jobs for AI to replace at this point in time really is the keyboard job, right? So anything digital, and you'll hear Elon and Sam Altman, these guys, will parrot the same words, or maybe I'm parroting their words. But the bottom line is that anything that's digital, right, can be automated almost as of today. And the more concerning part for me, as being in this field for so long, I've never experienced the growth, the rapid growth and advancement of any technology in human history, but certainly my personal human history. And being in this area for nearly 30 years, I've never seen the rapid advancement of a specific technology. We literally have got new features and functions being released from an AI perspective. I would say, from if I had to simply estimate based upon what I'm seeing for all the various platforms and different AI models and companies that I am involved with in terms of keeping abreast of what's going on, I'm seeing releases anything from 3 to 5 days, and that is just insane and a bit scary. So thanks to TikTok, we can have a little fun with some sound effects if you enjoy them. Other questions, comments, feel free to drop them in. I'm happy to address them. So, Catherine, are you concerned about your job? Also, if anybody on TikTok is interested in having a voice conversation, I am happy to pull you in as a guest and we can have that conversation. Again, we're talking about jobs, we're talking about layoffs, we're talking about AI, we're talking about the tech industry, we're talking about how you can potentially either reinvent yourself or at least make yourself a bit more resilient. So Catherine says, I'm a performing artist, and I think AI is a poor substitute for people. It helps me parent my EO. So here's the interesting thing about not present my work. Gotcha. So here's the interesting thing is I'm a little bit of a unicorn when it comes to the tech world, which is why you're actually finding me here in public. So a lot of people in the tech world, especially folks like solutions developers, software developers, software engineers, things of this nature. There's very few of us who are not only comfortable on the technical side, but they're also comfortable on the business side. And there's even fewer of us who are comfortable not only on the technical and the business side, but also on the ability to be able to communicate our thoughts and communicate with others and kind of break down problems into discrete components and things of this nature. So I am one of those people. I've been told it throughout my career, throughout my 30 years of working in the tech industry, that I am a bit of a unicorn, and I appreciate that. It's one of the reasons why I've chosen to kind of put myself out here in terms of social media and try to build some communities. I've got some growth on all the platforms, slowly but surely, which I think is great. I think conversations are really, really important on these topics, and I think more and more people are going to be looking for some guidance on how they can either use AI within their current jobs or how they can potentially not necessarily prevent themselves from getting laid off because of AI, but try to be the last one who gets laid off because of AI. Okay. So having said that, I'll circle back around to what I was going to say, and that is I've got not only a technical background, but also a creative background. My very first love was actually very creative. It was photography, and this was back in the 1980s, and I loved it a lot. And I got back into it about 6 or 7 years ago, pre-AI, but post digital revolution. And what was really interesting about the digital revolution was that in my day, everything was film. So I didn't know what I had captured until I got into the dark room, developed my film, and started printing things out. And I used to do it all from A to Z. Roll my own film, do all the shooting, and then do the processing and everything in the darkroom. And it was a lot of fun. Back then, I was a teenager, and then late teens. But I compare that to a lot of what's kind of occurring today, right? In the sense that we have these modernizations that have occurred, right? But with these modernizations, we're losing, and some people would say we're losing the soul of the artist in some way, right? Exactly. So Catherine was saying human-made photography is much more moving. I agree. I do agree with that. But here's the one thing that I would challenge you with. So the whole idea behind AI, and whether it's in the creative realm or whether it is in wanting to start a company and run a company, is this concept of democratization, right? And that sounds like a big word. It simply means that instead of only a few people having access to the best tools in the world, to the largest budgets in the world, to the smartest people in the world, to do what they desire to do, right? What their passion is leading them to follow, right? That could be something creative like photography or videography. Could be something like building a business from the ground up, whatever that business might be, right? Could be the need for some legal advice or from medical advice. Well, if you believe that many of the people who are in the positions like the Sam Altmans of the world and some of the other big people out there, okay, if you believe that they have altruistic endeavors or altruistic ideology, I should say, then if you listen to them, that's what they are supposedly trying to do. Now, is it going to come with a lot of pain? Yes. Is it going to come with, people who lose out? Yes. I mean, that's unfortunately unfortunately that is something that comes along with all big changes, right? But the democratization concept is that if they democratize knowledge, if they democratize the ability for somebody to sit in their bedroom or their office and to create a feature film, right? Then they have empowered the individual to basically have little to no limits or constraints to themselves. And that is where, again, the most altruistic aspects of this is going, right? But it's going to come with a lot of pain in the process, and that's the frightening part, which I don't think a lot of people have really taken into full account, and that gets into another question. But it says Catherine's asking, yes, you coach actors, and AI is helping me organize and deliver instruction, and I coach by Zoom. Yeah, so I mean that's the thing, right? It's allowing you to probably do more than you were able to do. In my 9-to-5 job or 8-to-5 job, I'm able to produce more output than I've ever been able to do, and better quality output. So getting into that conversation, what's really interesting is the winners, okay? The winners in the AI era are going to be the people who understand that a lot of these hard skills are going to be able to be taken care of by AI, okay? But the soft skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to empathize, the ability to organize and really put the fine wrapping around something, that's going to be the human touch, okay? So if you focus on soft skills over hard skills, you're going to fare better in the AI world. But here's the thing, is that those soft skills you need to bring to the attention of your management or whenever space you're actually working in as an employee, if that's the case, or even as a self-employed person. You need to bring that to a level where it can be recognized. And that's honestly something that I started doing 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years ago, I realized with the passion that I have for creativeness that I could marry that into my non-creative, if you will, world of the tech world. And again, it made me even stand out more as a unicorn. But here's the dirty little secret that a lot of people didn't understand or realize. I was able to do this efficiently and effectively, much more so than I was before, because of the or because of the advantages AI was giving me. So there's lots to be said there. You have to get creative. You have to think differently, and that's something that I've been talking about for a while. You really have to think out of the box, if you will, when it comes to utilizing AI, not just for uh, something simple like rewriting an email or something, but if you run into a problem, you need to think about AI first, okay? And when you think about AI first and you run into a block in terms of solving that problem, what's going to happen is you're going to take a step back and you're going to say, wait, I'm blocked, but could AI help me unblock this step, right? And you'll figure out, wait, it can, right? And then I'll try to give you the most simple example. So in my world, I deal with a lot of data, okay? Data inputs, data outputs. A lot of times I need sample data, okay? And so if I'm trying to get AI to understand something, and I need sample data for it, well, in the old days, I would have spent a lot of manual time creating the sample data myself, right? Now, even in the last few months when I've run into this problem, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to create the sample data myself. And then I took a step back and I said, wait, think AI first. I can give a command or a prompt with some samples to AI, and I can get my sample data that I need in order to go on to that next step. And that's where you start getting kind of epiphanies going. It's really democratizing and lowering the bar to being able to truly accomplish anything you want. So I understand there's a lot of fear, and I understand there's a lot of fear. I understand there's a significant amount that you even hate as related to it. But I would say, even as a creative, in the creative area, it's unlocking power that just simply didn't exist before. So thanks, Catherine, for your comments and your participation. Really appreciate it. Adra, thanks. Following Whispers, I like that name. And Mailman 614, thanks for hanging out. If you guys have questions, comments, feel free to drop them in. I'm happy to engage with anybody. The bottom line is that we're talking about really the AI era, how it's impacting jobs, layoffs, how it's impacting the world that we're living in, for better or for worse, and just overall trying to understand what we can do, either as employees or even if we are self-employed, to take advantage and to really ensure that we are not going to be kind of the last ones out the door, or the last ones left behind. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure we've got our streams going on. Okay, I think I actually have a little problem on my YouTube stream. Just give me 1 second, guys, and I'll be back. We got our streaming going on, but we are not streaming live to YouTube for some reason. Again, if you have questions, comments, drop them in, and I'm happy to try to address them for you, give you some insight. Again, 30 years in the tech industry, worked in Silicon Valley for a number of those years, lived out in San Francisco for a number of those years. I've seen a lot, good, bad, and ugly. Okay. It's the problem with streaming to so many different platforms sometimes. Sometimes they're just not all doing what they need to be doing. Let's see. Okay. So Catherine's heading back to work to get some work done in California. She says, I'll think about unblocking with AI. There you go. Okay. I found my streaming problem. Zeke, welcome back. Okay. Sorry about that little disruption. I had a little streaming issue on YouTube that I think is resolved. Okay, so back to our conversation. So I appreciate Catherine. I think Catherine had to drop, but I appreciate your comments and your questions. So if you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and drop them into chat there. If somebody is interested in having a live discussion, if you're on TikTok, I will pull you in to a voice chat if you would like. So what are some other things that have happened over the last week or so? So one of the more interesting things I thought, this was actually a couple weeks ago, Meta, which is Facebook, along with a lot of other platforms now, they reported their earnings a couple weeks ago. And again, if you're not big into the finance market, I get it. But you listen to the CEOs and the CFOs, you listen to their comments during some of these calls, and they tell you a lot about the state of our world, or more importantly, the state of jobs. So one of the things that was made mention by Mark Zuckerberg in his call honestly took me by surprise. I was surprised that, number one, he made it a public announcement, and I was also surprised that it was a thing. And that was, his statement was related to AI. The question came up during the conference call, what are you guys doing with it? How's it going? What are you seeing in terms of productivity? His statement was that they have gone from a 100-person team down to a single-person team. And that single-person team working with AI, okay, and he did qualify that single smart person with AI is achieving the same amount of output that those 100 team members were achieving before. And that is pretty mind-blowing. If you stop and think about that, that is a 1 to 100 compression, or 100 to 1 compression. That's insane. That is insane. Now, do I believe it? To be honest, I do. Especially because of the context in which he's talking about this. I'm very familiar with the context of utilizing it for coding and programming and debugging and building out solutions from that perspective. So I absolutely believe the statement that he made. I don't think it was an exaggeration, like some CEOs will make on their conference calls. So very, very interesting, and definitely pretty eye-opening. But that takes me back to, if you're a technical person, I don't know if any of the folks on the call right now are technical people, software developers, software engineers, but you're going to have to rethink yourselves. You really are, and I don't say that to be, in your face, so to speak. I say that because that's the reality. It's been the reality for me for many years, but it's been the reality that I have accelerated with in the last 2.5 years. So you really need to reinvent yourself. And how do you do that? You do that through the mechanism of thinking outside of your technical box. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I'm referring to is that you need to think outside of the technical box, because nobody really cares about your tech stack, okay? People don't care about your tech stack. People don't care about the latest and greatest, library you've downloaded. What they care about is outcomes. They care about outcomes. They care about ROI. What's ROI? It's return on investment. This is all that matters in today's world. And so as a technical person, You need to reinvent yourself to, number one, think business first, okay? Really think AI first, and business second. And then in addition to that, you need to think, how can you stand out? How can you be the zebra among the elks standing out there? Because unlike, I would say, in previous times, okay, in which we wanted to blend in, we just wanted to be another elk within a herd of elks, so we don't stand out, and so we don't, perhaps find ourselves, the target of a layoff. I believe now it's just I believe we've come full circle, and that's just the opposite now. You want to be the zebra among the elks. Why? Because when it comes to decisions for layoffs, what they're going to be looking at is who is going that extra mile, who is embracing AI, who is putting AI to work in such a way that they are benefiting not only the group, but the company, okay? And that is not just about using it to write your emails, okay? That's about taking it to the next level. So if you got questions, comments on that, feel free to drop them in and let's chat about it. And for some reason, my YouTube stream still not fully going. Sorry guys, give me 1 second.